Now, it's often the case that when new OS features come out, they're restricted to running only on certain hardware. Most of the time that's a fairly fixed requirement. Sometimes though you can get round it with a little bit of ingenuity. This is one of those times.
The other day I needed to AirDrop files between my iPhone and my MacBook Pro. Unfortunately it wouldn't work, and the reason for that is that my iPhone and Mac use different versions of AirDrop. When AirDrop first came out, discovery was done over Wi-Fi, but later versions, including those used on the iPhone, used Bluetooth Low Energy. If we look in System Information on my Mac, you can see that it doesn't support Bluetooth Low Energy and consequently won't support cross-platform AirDrop. Also, it won't run Handoff or Instant Hotspot either. So in order to make it work with the iPhone version, we need to install a Bluetooth LE card. MacBook Pros like this one feature a combined Bluetooth and Wi-Fi card, and as you can see here, mine only supports 802.11n. Here's a MacBook Pro Wi-Fi card. You can see the antenna connectors here, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and a plug connector where it connects up to the logic board. Unfortunately though, that plug connector is going to give us a problem, since all the cards that use 802.11ac have an edge connector on them. So I'm going to have to settle for upgrading just the Bluetooth and leaving the Wi-Fi as it is. Having got the base off the MacBook Pro, we can get to the Wi-Fi card, which is just in here alongside the DVD drive. Now the Wi-Fi card we're using is one from a 2012 MacBook Pro, and it'll plug straight into my 2011 model. The combined Wi-Fi and Bluetooth cards for the 2011 and 2012 are virtually identical, and I picked this one up on eBay for about £45. What you do need to watch out for is the card must have a part number that ends 4CAX. If you get the one that just ends 4AX, you'll be swapping out a Bluetooth 2 card for a Bluetooth 2 card, and you won't really achieve much apart from having found out what the inside of your Mac looks like. Working your way through the wiring is probably the most fiddly part of this job, and undoing and reconnecting the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas is the most painful part. To be honest, you probably want to be using a plastic spudger for this and not just casually flick them off with a screwdriver like I'm doing. Now, disconnecting several of these is not the most exciting part of the project, so let's just whiz through this and actually get the card out and see what we've got there. Now the card is mounted to this carrier, which I'll just untangle from the wiring there. We could, if we wanted to, detach the flat ribbon cable from the system board, but what I'm going to do here is just peel back the insulating tape, which is on the other side of the carrier, and get us into the card itself. Just peels back with your thumb as you're seeing. Fortunately I've got slightly longish nails. Peel that back and we will reveal the Wi-Fi card. Now the Wi-Fi card is held in with 3 Phillips screws, 2 along the front edge here and a third one towards the rear. And you'll notice that my thumb is on the card, so I best point out that I am actually wearing an anti-static wristband. You probably saw it, the blue strap, in the early stages of this video. And although some people will say that these days electronics are a lot hardier than they used to be, old habits really do die hard with me, so I do always wear an anti-static strap when I'm working inside the computer. Having undone the 3 screws, it's then a very simple job to pull the card away from the board. I'm using my thumbnail again here, but you could quite easily use a spudger and just get the little lip of it under there and ease the card away. You see the plug connector, and then I'll get the replacement out of the bag, and again that will just push simply into the socket, and then we can screw it all back together and refit the antennae. So the card goes in, I'll push with the thumb just so it clicks into place, replace those 3 screws, and the tape still has plenty of sticky on it, so I'll be able to fold the tape back over the card to protect it and then refit it. Once again we'll zip through one of the less interesting parts, putting these 3 screws back in and putting the insulating tape back over and refitting the carrier with 2 screws and getting ready then to plug the antennae back in. Unfortunately the cables are of different lengths, so it's easy to see which one goes where, and again one of the most tricky parts of this is connecting the MHF4 aerial connector. They are fiddly little blighters. You do need to be able to tuck the cables in and route them through the slots on the carrier and then get them over the connector and push it firmly in place with your finger. Having connected up all 4 antenna cables and made sure you've got the other cable routed through properly, it's then simply just a case of putting the base back on the Mac. Having put the Mac back together, happily it does start up again, and we'll go over to system information and have a look and see what it says there. Under Bluetooth, yes, we now do have Bluetooth Low Energy, but what we don't have is Handoff or Instant Hotspot support. Now the reason for that is that the system software has a white list of system boards in it, and even though I've got the appropriate hardware, it still believes that this Mac is not capable of running continuity. Now there's a couple of different ways around this. If I wanted to, I could dig into the terminal and start hacking away at some files, but there is also a useful tool that's been developed called Continuity Activation Tool, and that does all the patching and changing of files for me. Now one thing I will say is that for this tool to do its job, which is hacking away at low-level system files, you do have to disable system integrity protection. And if you don't know what SIP is there for, well, I'm sure I'll do another post on that fairly soon, but it is a way of protecting your system at a fairly low level from nefarious software doing things you don't want it to do. Now SIP doesn't have to stay off. Once the tool's done its job and patched the system files, we will re-enable it to make sure that our system is once again protected. Now we see a note there that the tool hasn't been tested on OS X versions higher than 10.10. However, this is actually a beta version developed for Sierra, and I'm guessing that changing that text is probably one of the last things they do in the development cycle. So we'll just zip through the installation, as watching cursors spin is not the most exciting part of this, and having done that and the patch has been applied, we'll then reboot. So here we are, we've rebooted after Continuity Activation Tool, and let's go back into system information. We'll look in Bluetooth, and yep, we have Handoff and Instant Hotspot now supported. So if we go into System Preferences, General, Handoff, yep, is accepted there. So let's try and send myself a picture. And I've airdropped from my phone, and you'll have to believe me on this one, that Ming the Merciless is my phone. And here we go. AirDrop now working, Handoff and Continuity now working.